That's right, Joe here with JoyRider TV, and we are out here in California. Now it's time for Show Us Your Cat.
Yes, that's right, it's Joe here for JoyRider TV. Thanks very much to Gadiel for that very strong introduction. And at this point, I think I would just like to point out that no, unfortunately, I am not Australian. In this episode of Show Us Your Cat, we are taking a trip around the world, looking at your boats and where it is that you sail them. And this week, we are in for an absolute treat. Yes, because we're going to be taking a look at possibly the best restored 1984 Nacra 5.2 you will ever see. So stay tuned for that one. But before then, we have got some other boats to look at. If you want to get involved, you could do what Mike has done. Mike sails on Lake Minnetonka, Minnesota, USA, and he sails this 1986 Hobie 14 Turbo in fantastic yellow. Yes, if I had the choice of getting a Hobie 14 or 16 custom built, I would definitely go for yellow hulls. Mike picked up this Hobie 14 for just $1,500 and it looks absolutely pristine for the age. Came with a trailer as well. So when Mike's going to go sailing with either his Mike, Nerissa or daughter Maiden, he will take the 16, great choice. The 16 he's got came with 2 suits of sails, including this stunning set of Spirit of 76 sails, which I think with a lot of people out there have to be one of the favourite sail colour schemes for a 16. Mike is also running a very handy mooring, which means he can leave his boat rigged throughout the day, so like if he's taking a break. He's also running a kind of, don't know what you'd call it, a stand, an on-water stand, so for overnight or perhaps for longer periods of time, could put the boat on the stand without having to take it out. Very nice. So thanks very much, Mike, for showing us your cats. If you've just got one picture of your boat and you want the JoyRider TV community to see it, just send it to me, and yes, I will feature your boat in an upcoming episode of Show Us Your Cat. Sometimes when you go out sailing, things don't go according to plan. Sometimes when you go out sailing, you might have a camera running. Now, if you've had a combination of these two events happen and you've captured something going wrong while you've been sailing, then yes, get featured in an upcoming episode of What Went Wrong, where we look at your mishaps and we really go into a deep diagnosis of why it is that that happened and perhaps how it could be avoided in the future, so that we can all learn from your experience. Check out the description for what to do. So let's head back to California, where Gadiel is going to tell us about his boat.
So my name's Gadiel Dimate, and this is my Hobie 16. The story of this 16 actually starts with a Hobie 17, because my Uncle Tony called me one day because he heard that I was interested in getting a catamaran, and he said, I got a Hobie 17 for free, come and get it. So I went and got it, and I sailed on a lake called Lake Beardsley for many years on that 17. 17 was a little bit big and sluggish for that small lake, but it was a lot of fun. And in the meantime, my uncle Greg Thompson would bring out this boat and he would sail with me, and he was known as the Dread Pirate Greg, the terror of Lake Beardsley. And as you can see, we got a pirate flag up there honoring his name, because unfortunately in 2020 Uncle Greg passed away, and I was fortunate enough for his daughter to call me, my cousin, and ask me if I wanted to take this boat and take care of this boat and kind of restore it a bit. And so I was fortunate enough to inherit another Hobie cat from a different uncle. And so then I was able to pass on the 17 to a cousin of mine, and now we're still having family fun on Uncle Greg's boat and out here on Cherry Lake today.
It's a nice boat, but our old one, it used to have chairs. I like that.
Oh, the 17 had the benches, right?
Yeah.
Nothing as luxurious as those 17 benches.
I think it's cool, and yeah, the benches are nice.
1974 Hobie 16. And not only do we have the pirate flag honoring Uncle Greg, but a pirate sticker in loving memory of the Dread Pirate Greg, terror of Lake Beardsley. I know a bit about Hobies. Installed these inspired by the great Joe at JoyRider TV. New trampoline. The sales are decent. Some people give us problems. Some people give us a hard time about the sale number, but I'm not superstitious. A bit dirty, a bit old, but it's still a lot of fun with minimal hard soft spots in the holes. Hey, Amelie, do you like the boat?
Yes.
Do you want to go sailing with me?
No.
Okay.
So thanks very much for that, Gadiel. Yes, we've got just 5 weeks left to run on the 2025 Global Speed Stick, with some very exciting news coming soon regarding the 2026 Global Speed Stick. You're not going to believe what I've been hatching up in the JoyRider TV cave of possibilities. Yes, something big is coming for next year. So if you've got any guesses what that might be, put it in the comments below. And if you get it right, then we'll see what we can do. Yeah, so now time to head down to Australia to take a look at that Nacra 5.2. Yes, that's right. We're heading to the Nacra 50th anniversary regatta Australian edition, which was held at Mannering Park Amateur Sailing Club on Lake Macquarie in New South Wales, Australia. 18 Nacras were in attendance, including the Nacra F18 Infusion and Evolution, the Nacra 17 used by Jason Waterhouse and Lisa Darmanin to win silver at Rio Olympics 2016, Nacra 15 and the local built Nacra 5.8s were there as well, the new Nacra 500 Mark II and 570 Mark II, and possibly the star of the show had to be the 1982 Nacra 5.2, which had been restored specifically for the regatta by John and Bronte Forbes. Nacra arrived in Australia back in 1979 thanks to Bob and Joyce Forbes. Bob had been a Hobie 16 sailor throughout the 70s, competing at the Worlds in Hawaii in 76 and then Texas in 78. When Hobie Australia said they weren't going to be bringing in any Hobie 18s, Bob actually went to America himself with the intention of bringing back 10 Hobie 18s. But one thing led to another, and Bob eventually came back with 10 Nacra 5.2s, and that was the start of Nacra in Australia. Over the next 10 years, somewhere in the region of 500 of the different Nacra models were built in Australia. Also present at the Australian Nacra 50th anniversary celebration was Paul Cherry, who together with Mitch Booth won the 1980 Nacra 5.2 North American Championships on Lake Tahoe when they were both just 17 years old. John later teamed up with Mitch Booth and the pair went on to win the 91 Nacra 5.8 Worlds, 2 Tornado World Championships, and ultimately Olympic bronze medal in 1992. Quite a legacy, which all began with the Nacra 5.2. This Nacra 5.2 was found near Adelaide, some 2,000 kilometres away, and brought to Sydney by the local Nacra importer Craig Fraser. The boat was built before Craig's time at Nacra, so he enlisted the help of John Forbes to embark on the restoration at the well-known Reimagined factory in Sydney, where the fleet of reimagined Hobie 18s had been restored. This particular boat was built in 1982 and was one of the early stringer hull 5.2s built before the foam sandwich construction. The stringers, used to greatly stiffen the hulls, were fiberglass laid around cardboard tubes running the length of the hulls, very light but also quite fragile. When John got hold of the boat, it was a mess, because 5.2s in Australia, sadly, quite scarce now, and this was the only boat they could actually find. The trampoline had been hand-stitched with fishing line right around the edges. The rudders were actually held on with galvanised coach bolts. The gel coat was old and chalky. The sails were black with mould, and most of the rigging was rusty with broken strands. The black transoms had faded, so they were almost see-through. Pressure wash everything. The hulls, the boards, the trampoline, the lot. Step 2. Get out the bleach. The bleach was sprayed over the hulls, the sails, even the rudders, to kill the mould and really lift the grime. Step 3. An acetone wipe down on the gel coat, followed by hydrochloric acid on all of the stainless fittings to remove the rusty looking tea staining. Every part was rinsed and polished by hand and scrubbed with a scourer. Then came the buffing. Slow speed with 3M heavy cutting compound. Layer by layer, the boat started to show itself as it once was. Finally, a clean rinse to reveal the shine hiding under 40 years of oxidation. Now here's John's recipe for bringing the sails back to life. Lay sails flat on the ground and remove any old telltales. Give both sides a full pressure wash until the worst of the grime is loosened. Spray bleach on both sides of the sails, leave briefly, then rinse with clean fresh water. Coat the sails with mineral turpentine. Allow to soak for 10 minutes, essential for breaking down that grease. Using a hand scourer, scrub all areas while the turps are still active. Without allowing the turps to dry, pour on methylated spirits so it mixes together. The turps and metho, Australian term, and scourer combination removes about 95% of the grease, grime, mould and filth. Wash the sails again with fresh water until clean and bright. Remove the jib tack eyelets and zip, replace with new ones, replace all telltales. Restitch the leech battens, add new spreader patches to the jib, remove the tack plates and eyelet, reposition the bolt rope correctly, remove and replace the luff tape in the bottom panel, rebuild and restitch the bolt rope back into place. And then we finish off with some plating up, and hey presto, we've got some new looking sails. The trampoline went to red head sails, where every part of the fishing line was unpicked by hand and replaced with some proper zigzag stitching. They also rebuilt the fore and aft tube sock. This was a key feature of the early 5.2s. That tube that runs through the sock adds enormous stiffness across the platform. A clever bit of design borrowed from the Alpha 5.2, the 18 square and the Nacra 36, a much bigger boat. The jib track wire was kept as well. It runs fore and aft under the trampoline and doubles as a foot strap. John wanted to keep all these original features to keep the boat authentic. Then John raided his mum Joyce's old stock of Nacra decals, and the original 1980s vinyl was applied for that authentic finishing touch. Fresh ropes, foot straps from cat covers, stern supports and beach wheels were added, and the old 5.2 was ready for its comeback. Then back to Mano, the newly restored boat rolled down the ramp for its maiden sail. John Forbes at the helm, daughter Bronte on the wire, the 5.2 flying a hull again across Lake Macquarie. Bob Forbes watched from the beach. 3 generations of the same family, 50 years of Nacra, one beautifully smooth sailing catamaran. Light wind and flat water, the boat was just humming. Still balanced, still quick, and still looking fantastic. Here's to Bob, Joyce, John and Bronte. Great to see this family's legacy still going strong, and great to see this 5.2. Nacra Catamarans 50 years on, still providing pure joy on 2 hulls. Thanks very much to John for sending in all those pictures, video and the story of this great restoration project.